Hi, welcome to episode 142 of Fresh Air at 5. In this episode, you're going to hear 2 days worth of my listening, as the rest of the week has been super busy and super crazy as it is conference season here in British Columbia. So, without further ado, let's jump in. Super excited to share with you the bit of learning that I have done this week and some reflection on what else is going on. All right, have a fab time, and thanks for listening to Fresh Air at 5.
I'm William Andreessen, host of Speaking with Students, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows in the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood, to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at FreshAirAt5 or check out my website, briancarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected. Hey PLN, October 16, 2023, out for Fresh Air at 5 this morning. Plus 15 degrees Celsius, overcast, and a bit of a breeze. It's actually a nice morning to be out walking. It's not cool like fall weather should be, but it's very, very nice. Enjoying it a lot. This morning as I'm walking, I listened to episode 234 of the House of Ed Tech. But before I talk about that, I want to give a shout out to MyPETA, which is the Middle Years Primary Intermediate Teachers Association here in British Columbia of the BCTF Provincial Specialist Association. And I'm a member of the executive of this association. And we have every October the Provincial Specialist Association Day for Professional Development, where all of the different organizations that are part of the BCTF have their annual conference, and it is a provincial-wide thing. This year, I am proud to say that being part of the MyPETA executive, we have organized a conference and have attracted the attention of more than 2,000 attendees, both online and in person. So that's something this Friday, October 20th, and I want to just give a shout-out to our team. It's incredible. We're rocking it. And I am so proud to be part of this team that is able to get some professional development into the hands of very, very many here in the province of BC. All right, so as I was saying, I was listening to episode 234 of the House of Ed Tech, and Chris Nessie brings us an episode called "Is It Time to Break Up with Twitter/X?" I read that and I went, "Oh no, Chris, you're going to jump ship." And I've been on the Twitter ship since 2011 when I heard about it from George Koros. And I am very thankful for the Twitter, now X, community that I am a part of. But I'm hoping that X has not lost its vision or its way. 1 second, I'm coming right back. One more thing for October 16, 2023. As I was saying previously on episode 234, of the House of Ed Tech, Chris brings us a breakup letter with Twitter as he talks about the potential to move from that platform to be in a different space. What did Twitter do for me? It allowed me to connect with educators that I would have not otherwise connected with, because it was a common place that we could find each other, we could follow each other, we could see each other's content, we could share. The whole point is connection. It's about being connected to one another. That's an important theme this week, as we are going to be connected through our conferences that are happening at the end of this week on Friday, all throughout British Columbia. It's important that we find a way to connect with one another. We're connected to the land that we live and work on and we play on. We're connected to our community and our neighborhoods. you know? And so this whole part about Twitter being a place of connection, it's so very important. I still call it Twitter. I don't call it X publicly, because, well, it's, I don't understand, Elon, why you would change the name, and then make it more about just making money. So, like Chris Nessie said, if I have to start paying for it to have connection, then I'll probably step off, and I'll probably go somewhere else somehow. But in the meantime, I'm going to still be there, like Chris said, and being connected with you. All right, in the EdTech recommendation that Chris brings us in episode 234, he brings us a tool called Diffit.me, Diffit.me. I haven't checked this out, but it sounds captivating, Chris, how we can take content and it can make lesson plans for us. And it's more educationally minded AI than other AI that we have worked with, like ChatGTP, etc. So I'm going to take a look at it, see what we can do. And yes. So there you go. You're pretty excited about it, so I might as well get there too. And about the EdTech Smackdown that's happening in December, it was in my mind. I was like, what am I going to share this year? Haven't heard the announcement, but here we go. It's coming. So EdTech Smackdown, end of December. Thanks. Bye. The last thing for October 16, 2023, episode 234 of Teachers on Fire. Tim, did you notice that matches Chris's episode of 234 in House of EdTech? I find that's cool. That's pretty nifty. You talk about 4 words that scare teachers and other educational posts this week on X, highlights that you have brought to us. And on Saturday morning, you had a sit down with yourself and you reviewed what was going on out in X, or formerly known as Twitter, and brought to us a long list of awesomeness. And I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts there with us. One that jumped out was Miss Aguilera, I think it was, as she used Canva to create student maps and student profiles so that students can write down some of the things that they like, don't like, learning styles, what they like to eat, etc., etc. And that was pretty nifty. So thanks. I'm going to have to check out her post on Twitter about that. And Tim, happy birthday to you last Friday. Tim and I share a birthday, so it was my birthday as well. And it was a fantastic day for me. I'm glad, Tim, you got a big chicken sandwich. All right, bro. We'll talk to you soon. And all of the rest of you, I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Okay, bye. Hey, PLN, it is Thursday, October 19, 2023. And as I'm walking this morning, this is a lot about my mental well-being today and needing to get outside and get my body moving. Earlier this week, I walked on Monday, and then Tuesday and Wednesday, I woke up feeling dizzy on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I was awake at 2:30 in the morning with all kinds of my PETA conference things racing through my head. And I got up and I had to make a list. I had the list already, but I had to write it down again so that I could be like, well, that's what I need to pack and take as I go to the conference set up today. And we have our big conference tomorrow for my PETA. And it's exciting, super exciting. But in the meantime, we have to go to work and we have to go do our daily jobs of teaching students and working with them and growing them, and not doing that less because of these other big tasks before us. So yes, today I've got 2 classes this morning, and then I will be off at noon for North Delta Secondary and conference setup with our incredible My PETA executive team and volunteers that are rushing there to make this thing happen this weekend, tomorrow. So tomorrow, it's going to be exciting. All right. That's what's going on with Carpenter. And I walked this morning, like I said, because I needed to for my mental health and just the calming and getting at it. Also, it helped that my son is needing to go to work earlier this morning. So that helped me get out of bed to make sure he was out of bed. It's just we're all in this together. All right, as I'm going to have another segment here, it might be my last segment today. I'm not sure, or this week. I'm not sure what it's going to look like because I'm at a hotel tomorrow and Saturday. So I might just do this. This will be the last thing coming up. So hang on. Here it is. Hang on. One more thing for October 19, 2023. I said it might be the last thing I'm going to talk about right now, but I am going to talk later today as I'm traveling. I'm going to listen to podcasts while I'm driving, and I will report on those and include those in episode 142 of Fresh Start 5 that will come out tomorrow. Okay, so I listened to episode number 3 of the Embrace the Messy podcast with Shannon Schenkel, and she has on guest Phil Stringer. And now Phil and I, we go way back to probably about half a year to maybe 3/4 of a year ago together, as we have been in this amazing community on what was Twitter, now called X. And every day we check in on each other and we see how we're doing with Wordle. We're a Wordle group. And the extent of our collab actually is, here's my Wordle solution today. And this is the picture of my array of results, and we put it up there, and we just we're kind of there for each other. I don't know Phil very well. I'm thankful, Phil, that you were on Shannon's podcast today, and I got to learn a whole lot more about you and your enthusiasm for education. Just the fact that you're in this group that I'm in with Tim Cavey and many others doesn't surprise me that you're an amazing person. And it's great to hear your story. Great to hear that at the end of the day, when you go coach soccer, that is one of the things that sometimes gets you through your day. But Phil teaches math in West Vancouver at a private school, and grows kids with resilience and creative thinking and problem-solving skills in mathematics. A fantastic episode as he talks about spiraling learning and how we can use that spiral technique to make connections throughout the year of our learning, and all that. Applies to me, applies to many. So take a listen to what Phil has to say. Thanks, Shannon. Thanks, Phil. Have a fabulous day. Okay, bye. Okay, one more thing this morning. I wasn't done, as I'm still reflecting on the conversation I heard between Shannon Schenkel and Phil Stringer on episode 3 of the Embrace the Messy podcast. If you're not listening to this podcast, I would encourage you to do so, because Shannon brings a great perspective on the balance between assessment and creative teaching and collaboration with her guests that I've heard so far. She's had on Trevor McKenzie, George Koros, and now Phil Stringer. And Phil, you know what? The fact that you're in this list with those other two, that elevates it already again a little bit more. So thanks so much for being a part of Shannon's podcast. And Shannon, thanks so much for your bravery in taking that step to talk to people and press send to get it out there. I like the fact that, as you know, the conversation between Shannon and Phil, Shannon being in math, and he does have an English teachable, but he's a math teacher at his school, and Shannon is drama and English. And just listening to these two different department type teachers talk together about the commonality of sound assessment and about good teaching practice, that is so encouraging. I'm privileged in my school that we have a very small staff that teaches all the subjects, and I get to work sort of closely with them, and we talk quite a bit about how each is doing things in a different way. In an online space like ours, we have a different approach to how we can work with students when we have asynchronous content that has to be there at the beginning of the year. But how are we still even presenting that, and what are our expectations? Phil has his elevator pitch at the end, where he talks about collaboration is key and primary for him, and advice he could give to teachers. The second is that he's the first one out of the gates to implement a change in his school, in his classroom, when he thinks it's necessary to happen. And the third thing is that he has to build in resilience so that, it doesn't bog him down and get the better of him, but he can keep on working towards that. All right, there you go. Thanks, and have a fab day. Talk to you soon. Bye. The last thing for October 19, 2023, I've arrived at North Delta Secondary, unpacked the truck, and on the way here for our MyPETA conference, I listened to episode 76 of Evolving with Gratitude with Lainey Rowell, as she has on guest Sarah Candela, Flourishing in a Digital World. So it talks about that and how she, has her Optimalist podcast and does work in providing resources for teachers and educators about how to manage and balance in this digital world we live in today that has significantly changed since November as ChatGPT came onto the scene, and AI's been there, but how do we manage our digital world and also our mental health and all those things? And it's not a this or that, it's a both and. And we need to figure out how to do that so that we can survive. It was fantastic to hear Sarah talk about flourishing, more and more flourishing, and those things that go along with that, and being flourishingly grateful. And so you'll have to listen to the episode to catch what all that's about. But she brings up some fantastic points with Lainey. They have a wonderful conversation. And if they didn't need to press stop, then they probably wouldn't have. They would have talked for quite a while. It was great to hear. Take a listen for yourself. I encourage you to do so. And with that, Carpenter out, I'm going to be heading inside and getting set up for our MyPETA conference that's happening. And this will be the last segment for this week. So it's a short one. It's going to be a short one for us this week, but it's going to be a good one as well. So thanks so much. Talk to you later. Bye.
As my one word for 2021 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoy this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, Podcasts for Educators, Podcasts by Educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself because you're worth it.